We could talk about murders, police killings, protests, and traffic jam. Or we could talk about the Beetham. Let's talk about the Beetham. The Beetham is east of Port of Spain. It's sandwiched between the Priority bus route and the Beetham Highway. To the south of the Beetham Highway, there's a garbage dump. Like communities on the outskirts of major cities, the Beetham sprung up in a haphazard manner. This is back in the 1900s. The place was called Rat Town. I guess they had plenty rats. In 1955, a white man named Eddie Beetham came to Trinidad. He would be the last colonial governor that Trinidad had. Between 1955 and 1956, the Beetham Highway was built. That's the highway that extends from Barataria to Ryson Road. Imagine what that construction may have meant for the people living in Rat Town and the governor. I mean, the highway was named after the guy and the community. So it took 55 years for the Beetham to get a name. Over the decades, the Beetham developed a reputation. If you ask any driver what is one of their biggest fears, they would probably tell you shutting down on the Beetham Highway. You can find horror stories online, and sometimes people tell you tales. Can you imagine when the internet first came out and the Beetham family, that's the family in England, saying, can you imagine when the internet first came out and this Beetham family was searching for their great-great-grandfather, saying, you know, between 1955 and 1956, your grandfather built the Beetham Highway. Let's search for the Beetham Highway. And you're there searching for Sir Eddie Beetham. Don't search for this guy anymore. Then in 2008, for the summit, the government built a beautifying wall. It's a 5-foot wall. And while they thought of it as a beautifying wall, the residents didn't see it that way. Who builds a 5-foot wall to hide houses? You think it's the Shire? Frodo living there? Bilbo Baggins? Gandalf couldn't even hide behind that wall. You shall not pass. Think about living in a place called Rat Town. Think about getting Think about the garbage. Think about the socio-economic problems that occurred because of this haphazard development. Think about being called rats for 55 years. Think about getting a highway and getting a name in 1955. Think about getting a highway and a name only in 1955. What about if your parents called you Rat for 55 years and then say, hey, you know what, we should give you a name. We'll call you Beetham. I want to talk about the name Helyard. But first, let's hear from our sponsor. Can you imagine living in a place called Helyard, walking through the garden of Beetham, and you stop and squint and say, wait now, that is Satan over there? Satan, was this scene thread? And Satan all bothered, but he still give you an all the youth men with your bunks and say, I ain't feeling too hot now, boy. And he goes on to remind you that on July the 19th, police kill a youth man, he get 10 shots to his chest. On June the 6th, 2 fellas get killed in a drive-by. On November the 23rd, protests. On November the 3rd, 2017, a 32-year-old fella get gunned down. And at your feet, one of the youth men doing a dance that looking like the worm, but he really mimicking one of the boys who get gunned down yesterday. After 100 years of socio-economic and financial pressures, how do you protest? Imagine this. Tomorrow morning, someone in your neighborhood dies. Murder. They get 3 shots to the chest. It takes about 30 minutes for the news to soak in. Then after a while, you start wondering if you have any pictures of this person. You post the picture on social media when you find it with a caption, RIP. And you're waiting for sad and angry faces to pour in. Then 3 weeks later, police kill a youth man in your area. The next day, more gun violence. For some odd reason, domestic violence increases. You lose your job. Then people start looking at you funny. And suddenly, you're embarrassed to even say where you're from. If 100 years later, you and your family still posting pictures on social media and waiting for people to say, that's a real hard luck there, boy. You deserve a medal.